The Moral Monday program is continuing. That was started in part by the Reverend William Barber, the president of the North Carolina NAACP. His website, RevWilliamBarber, BARBER.com. And we've been following this. There was a huge event this last weekend. We've been reporting on it. We reported on it before. We reported on it after. The corporate media in the United States seems to have completely lost it, though. I don't get this. Reverend William Barber, back with us. Thanks so much for being with us again, Reverend.
Hello, Tom. It's always good to be with you. And today, February the 12th, is the 105th anniversary of the founding of the NAACP.
Wow.
I'd like to give that website, if you don't mind. It's at ncnaacp.org, where your listeners can go to. That's NAACP.org.
As in North Carolina, NAACP.org.
Yes, sir.
NC.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got it. So tell me about, how did Saturday come together? Who was there? What happened? And why, in your opinion, has it been ignored by virtually all of the corporate press in America?
Well, let me just say, we've been organizing this Forward Together moral movement in essence for about 7 years, called the Historic Thousand of Jones Street People's Assembly. But, of course, last year there was such an intense attempt to regress the state, to take it back, was our governor and our Speaker of the House, Tom Tillis, and Senate Leader Berger and Governor McCrory and Financier Art Pope led their allies in one of the most regressive paths we've ever seen in North Carolina in recent history. We challenged those laws as being immoral, what we call constitutionally inconsistent, morally indefensible, and economically insane when you deny 500,000 people Medicaid or cut 900,000 people's earned income tax credit or take 170,000 people's unemployment and roll back voting rights and roll back women's rights and attack the LGBT community. And we saw a massive outpouring of people, black, white, Republican, Democrat, young, old, Native Americans, Latinos, gay and straight, say no. And we had 13 Moral Mondays in Raleigh. The last one had about 10,000 people. Then we went on the road. And this Saturday, that coalition, about 200 organizations led by the NAACP, came together. Some reports say more than 80,000 people were there. And we came together of every different fabric of North Carolina saying no to this kind of extremism, not to Republicans and not to Democrats, because we believe there are some progressive Republicans and progressive Democrats, but we have to isolate this kind of extremism, and we do it best when we challenge them on deep moral and constitutional values, and then also point out that the immorality and the unconstitutional also lead you to policies that are economically bad for everybody.
And so, brilliantly said. So, who showed up, and what happened on Saturday?
Well, we've had what we call the Mass Moral March on Raleigh to ignite another year of direct action, litigation, voter registration, voter mobilization. The crowd that was there, Tom, represents, I think, the New South. We contend that if you're going to change America, you have to think states, and you have to think southern states. But the way you have to do it is you have to engage in what we call indigenously led, agenda-based fusion coalitions that is deeply moral, deeply constitutional, anti-racist, anti-poverty, pro-justice, pro-labor. So that's what you saw show up. There were Republicans in the crowd. There were Democrats in the crowd. There were white. There were black. There were people of every demographic. Some from out of the state, but the majority were people from right there in the state. There were all of the major denominations, Baha'i, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, coming together, saying the Jewish community, Tom, actually, many of the rabbis had their Sabbath, a 45-minute before the march, so they could participate. And all of us said, when it comes to the issue of justice, treating the poor right, lifting up those on the margin, paying people living wage, taking care of public education, making sure people have health care, those are all those things fundamentally fit within the framework of all of the moral traditions of our great religions. And even secularists were there who don't necessarily believe in the faith the way we do, but they believe in a moral universe. They believe in things being done right. And that's why we saw the full tapestry of North Carolina and the nation. And we believe it's a model that is taking root. The spirit of it is breaking out in Florida next month. It's breaking out in Alabama next month. Georgia has had one start. South Carolina has something called Truthful Tuesdays, because this is the way we can challenge this Tea Party extremism and no longer allow the so-called far right wing to have the quote-unquote moral high ground, where they limit moral issues to things like, prayer in the school, abortion, and how people feel about homosexuality.
Wow. It's extraordinary, and I think you're right. I think that we're seeing the South change. I think we're seeing America change, and I think that there's some really, really fundamental change going on. I've been reading this book, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. The book is called "When the Irish Became White," and the premise of the book, and it starts out in the early 19th century, the 1830s, when the abolitionist movement in Ireland, about American abolition, started getting really, really aggressive. But the point of the book is that when the Irish came to America after the potato famine in the 1840s, they were not considered white, in quotes. That white was really a code word for basically upper middle class, the folks that were being let into society. And the Irish weren't included, the Catholics weren't included, the Jews weren't included, later in the 1890s, the Italians were not included. And that really, for much of American history, and there were, in many cases in northern states, there were freed slaves or what you call African Americans today, who were considered white legally under the law, and that what we're really looking at is far more a class construct than a race construct, and in large part the reason, and to extrapolate that logic, I would say one of the reasons why we're seeing now so many white folks, in quotes, racially white, whatever, getting involved in this, is that the privations that have been, dumped on black folks for 100 years, following slavery, following Reconstruction, of poverty and institutional misery, are now being foisted upon white people as the middle class is being eviscerated, and all of a sudden they're waking up going, hey, wait a minute, and now, hey, let's join with our brothers and sisters. Am I onto something here?
Well, I think first of all, you're exactly right. I have not read that book. I heard of the title, but I think this whole business of how we racialize issues and depending on certain time frames in history. For instance, if you go back in American history, there was a time that things like kindergarten and Social Security amendments that happened in 1954, Medicaid, Medicare, certain kinds of loans for working families to get houses had very popular demand. And then, in what I call the second Reconstruction, 1954 to, say, 1968, but toward the end, there was this white Southern strategy put in place to specifically, in some sense, racialize programs, call them entitlement, and suggest that those people were getting something and they were taking from other people.
Right.
There was a big email on this big piece on Google where Lee Atwater actually explained it, and he said they went to code words. They no longer use the N-word, in other words, but they use words like tax cuts,
right,
and states' rights and forced busing. And he said that they used that because most of those policies would have a negative impact on African Americans, but more importantly, would cause white Southerners to vote against their own best interests. What this movement does, and what every fusion movement must do, is expose to people the myth of extremism. Yes. And that is that you can hurt a small subset of people without hurting everybody. So you're exactly right. When yesterday a white Republican runs up to me on the street and hugs me and says, I'm a Republican, but I'm not with this extremism, it is because he understands that when you cut 500,000 people Medicaid, you hurt everybody, white, black, young, old. When you take 900,000 people, as our governor and legislature did, earned income tax credit, and make Ronald Reagan look like a liberal because he supports earned income tax credit, you hurt everybody. When you take unemployment, you hurt everybody.
Absolutely right. Reverend Barber, hang on just a second.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I so apologize for these hard breaks. We have to take them. Reverend William Barber, RevWilliamBarber.com, NCNAACP.org. Thank you, sir.